Hello, and thank you for joining College to Consulting once again. Now, last class we went over, how to choose between multiple offers. In this class, something we really need to talk about, which is how to handle rejection. And I would like to start off with a story. When I was recruiting, I was recruiting with my friend who we were always in the same interviews. And you're going to see these people always and always again. They're always at the Bain info session and the Oliver Wyman info session, whatever. And you'll see these people routinely. And there'll be people who you'll constantly be on the same track to interview with. So it was me and this guy who were recruiting. And whenever we had interviews, we always talked to each other. We said, "Oh, how'd it go? What do you think? What do you think?" And we were more of acquaintances than actual friends, but we knew each other. And whenever we didn't get an offer, or we didn't get passed on to a final round, or we got to a final round, we didn't get an offer, we always asked each other, or I asked him, "So what do you think you could have done differently?" And he would say the same thing. And what I noticed is that he kept blaming it on external factors. He would say, "Oh man, my interview was just really tough, or my interview was stupid, or the timing didn't work out, or all this other stuff." And he didn't really handle that rejection that well. And as a result, he did not graduate with a consulting offer, actually decided to stay in school another year, to extend school, to recruit again in the fall. And it just didn't work out again because now they had already interviewed him, and there were other people who were seniors or fourth years now who were recruiting. As opposed to what I did was every time I didn't get something, I always asked, what could I have done better? And so now let's talk about that. It's a reality. Rejection happens, but always ask for feedback and then move on. So yeah, your heart breaks and it really hurts, and your eyes were set on this firm that you really, really wanted, and it didn't happen out. But you know what? If you do get rejected, I want you to do two things. Ask for feedback, and don't expect them to give you feedback without you asking. Do that. Get on the phone, say, "I would like to speak to my person who interviewed me, and I want to ask just for some feedback. What could I have done better?" And that's all you need to say. If the recruiter usually say, "Oh, we don't get feedback," say, "Okay, that's fine." If you have the business card from the person that interviewed you, just ask them directly. Just say, "Hey, thank you for interviewing me. Thanks for taking the time." Be very polite, be very courteous, but I want to know, is there anything else I could have done? Okay, so here are some experiences that I've learned, or some lessons that I've learned from getting rejected. One is how I make you ask for data. I say always make it hypothesis driven. Okay, and I say that this is one recruiter who said, "Your case was good, but I just wish you would have asked for data with more of a hypothesis." So saying, I would hypothesize that costs are really ramping up because of XYZ reason. Do you have any information to support or negate that hypothesis? Remember that lesson that I tell you? That's how I learned it. And it made me sound much, much better. So when I moved on to another round with someone else, I pulled that out, and they absolutely loved it. Next thing, one other thing that I've learned is use multiple sheets of paper. And here's some feedback that I have learned. If you write everything on one sheet of paper, it looks very scribbled and looks very congested, and it's very hard to read. Use multiple sheets of paper. Rip out a sheet of paper for math. Rip out a sheet of paper for your own personal notes that no one will ever see. Rip out a sheet of paper for a roadmap. Do that because now it's like you're communicating in slide format, and it shows that you can be organized and structured, and it just makes it more engaging to your interviewer. So here's a story that I like to tell people is toward the end of the recruiting cycle, I was doing very well with cases. They were no problem for me at all. No more anxiety, no more nervousness about, oh my gosh, we have a case interview. And so my friends and I, what we used to do is we used to basically find a bunch of rooms at school, and we had just a free-for-all of case interviews. So two people randomly pair up and we do a case, and then we move around like clockwise or someone, and we do more and more cases. So we're doing like 3 hours of cases straight in a night. And now me and my friends who had been recruiting for a long time had been more advanced in how to do cases. So one time I got paired with this guy who never had done a case in his life. I said, oh my gosh, well, I don't know what I'm going to get from this guy. I don't know what feedback he can even give me. Gives me the case, crush it, no problem. And I say, but I ask with my friends, and this is what I want you to do. When you are doing cases, always ask, even if it's your friends, ask, What could I have done better? He said, well, you actually did really, really well with the case. I think you did a fantastic job. I said, okay, well, there has to be something. He said, if there's anything, I would say your handwriting needs to be neater. I said, this is a very good point. I'm drawing. I'm showing people my paper upside down. I'm writing upside down. I'm turning my paper sideways. I need to have neater handwriting. Fantastic point. And I did this. I implemented this. So now when I do cases, I take a little bit more time to make sure I'm writing neat so that my interviewer can see what I'm writing. Okay. So you've asked for feedback. Now what you need to do is you just need to move on from the firm. Sorry, it didn't happen. You can always interview again with them later, but it just didn't work out at this moment in time. Next, focus on other industries. Remember, we're always talking about hedging and diversifying your interest and your risk. So focus on other industries. Maybe you're into consulting. Maybe you're also into corporate, and maybe you're into banking, or maybe you're into trading. I mean, maybe you're into law. I've had people do that, students who have gotten offers from consulting firms as well as law school. So, look at other areas to go to as well that interest you. And the last thing I want to say is that many people go to small consulting firms or corporate, go to a fantastic business school, and then go to a huge consulting firm. There are tons of stories about people who went to a very small boutique consulting firm because they couldn't get the offer when they were an undergrad. They go to business school, or they don't go to business school, they recruit again. Now they're in a Bain, BCG, McKinsey, whatever. Okay, so it's not impossible. You can always keep going as long as you keep these practices that you've learned in place and you practice them. All right. Hopefully that will help you become better and stronger as a consulting candidate. All right. Thanks.